She told them her husband shot her. 46-year-old Karen Eames has been upgraded to serious but stable condition. She was shot in the arm and the face by her sheriff's deputy husband, Isacc Eames, Monday morning. An autopsy revealed the off-duty deputy had one gunshot to his head, which was self-inflicted. The couple's 21-year-old son, Troy, was also shot in the head. Authorities say Deputy Isacc Eames used his department-issued service weapon to do this. He fired 8 rounds total, and the investigation is continuing. Tomorrow night, the Liverpool church community that for years welcomed the Eames family as parishioners will open its doors to comfort those touched by this tragedy. The Pope John XXIII Church on Sewell Road in Liverpool is hosting a prayer service Thursday at 7 o'clock. The church seats 600 and may fill. Father Zachary Miller will lead this event, designed to be a time of healing, acceptance, and support for the family.
The hope that we have in having this prayer service, it's really truly an ecumenical service of healing, and to start the healing process, to help the family start to cope and understand and just come to accepting and growing and moving, but also to help the greater Liverpool community, the school district, and all those that have been impacted by this, just to find a little hope in their lives and an evening just to be present to one another and to start a healing process.
As the person who will be in the front of the church leading this prayer service, what words of comfort are you thinking of? What is it you are thinking the community at large needs to hear?
The biggest things I believe that the community at large should hear in this prayer service for tomorrow evening is that we're in this together, that everyone is grieving in their own particular way at their own particular moment, but all of us are on this journey together, that we don't often have horrible tragedies like this, but it's in these tragedies that we remind ourselves that we're not alone, that we are truly together. And as a Liverpool community, as a church community, it's wider than just us, that this has impacted everyone. And this is, we hope, for an evening that can start the healing process for everyone that has been involved and for everyone that's a part of our community and the Liverpool greater community.
Father, we got an update from the authorities on the details of what happened inside the house earlier this week. And so many will hear that, they will digest that, they will be upset about that, and they'll be left with the question of why. Why did this happen? And they'll want an answer to that. Does God ever answer why?
It's in moments that we have great tragedy. It's not necessarily about the why, but it's about how do we grow together. And it's how do we rely upon our faith life, our belief in God that has journeyed with us, that God is in the midst of this moment, that God is in the midst of the chaos of all of our lives, that God is truly in the present of the kind actions and the kind words and the thoughts and the prayers, and that everyone, what they can do in the community is just to uplift this family and to help and hold them and to be a presence to them.
On the invitation to the prayer service at the church, there's a quote from the Bible included there. It's from John 14:27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give it to you. Do not let your hearts be troubled or afraid. I'm curious, why is that passage of the Bible leaned on so heavily in times of unspeakable tragedy?
This quote from John's Gospel is a quote of love. It's a quote of compassion from Jesus, but it's reminding us that God's love is beyond the love that we can imagine, that God's love doesn't come from this life. God's love is love itself. It's the universal love that every human being has. And also it's the love that we hope to channel within ourselves, within our prayers tomorrow evening, to bring the peace and love in our community, and to recognize that when one part of the community hurts, everyone in the community hurts.
Syracuse Police Department is implementing Jiu-Jitsu into its training to help respond to situations that officers run into on the job. Maggie DeRogers is live in Syracuse now with a look at how they hope this training can make police interactions safer and save the city money. Maggie?
The idea behind this new Jiu-Jitsu program is that the Syracuse Police Department will learn better and safer techniques not only for themselves but also the public if they have to get physical during an arrest. Another department down south has been using the strategy and so far it's working.
Why not arm your officers with the best skill set available to them? Why not invest in their training to allow them to perform these types of situations better? Often it comes down to budget.
The city of Syracuse is setting aside $25,000 to enroll the next group of police officers in jiu-jitsu training.
It's a well-measured, well-thought-out leap that doesn't have a lot of potential downsides, I would hope.
A similar jiu-jitsu program in Marietta, Georgia saw success. In Marietta, they reduced the injuries for suspects and officers, decreased taser use, and saved the department thousands of dollars.
It certainly pays for itself. In other cities, they've seen a reduction in injuries and a saving on workman's comp. So it seems like just a really smart investment to provide more training for our officers and save us a lot of trouble and a lot of money in the long run.
Driscoll says that he understands people's concern when it comes to some of the holds we've seen over the past few years, but says it wasn't the holds themselves, but the way they were performed.
I get that people are concerned with the holds that we've seen throughout these past few years that have been abused. But I think the goal of this is to train officers how to use them properly and to not abuse them and to not injure people while using them.
Proper training and education will allow the city's police force to feel more confident in their skills in whatever situation they encounter. College students have a certain toughness to brave walks to class in the winter at Cornell University. Bitter cold, snow can prove unpleasant, to say the least. But for these three young women, tough doesn't begin to describe them.
I was a girl who has been fighting for her single right, which is education, for my entire life.
A fight that became life or death last summer in Afghanistan. Hashid Hassini, Tamana Ghaznawi, and Hadija Moniz were studying at the Asian University for Women remotely in Kabul when the Taliban took over. It was clear educated women like them were in danger, and they had to leave.
I'd rather die here, but I won't go back home because I just want to leave this country. This isn't my country anymore.
They got on a bus to the airport. The group circled the airport for 48 hours with only their phones, charger, and passport. Explosions went off around them.
I could see so many desperate people and I wanted to cry. What just happened to my country? Why are these people trying to leave? These all were the people, those educated people who were the future of my country.
Men tried to force their way on their bus, but Hadija held the door closed, blocking them from entering while they threatened her.
If they were able to enter to our bus, none of us would survive. Every breath was a blessing for us inside those buses.
They finally found their way to a plane, one of the last flights to leave Kabul, but they had no idea where it was going.
I just looked back to the airport, to my country. Is this the end? Is this what I have planned for? Is this my life in my country? Where am I going? What I will do? Because we did not know at that moment that we will come to America.
Through campus partnerships and an international effort, these women are 3 of 9 Afghan scholars now studying at Cornell.
This is a kind of relief to be here at Cornell University and to be able to continue our education and to be safe, having housing and supportive groups around. This is a good feeling.
While they're safe now, they're still dealing with the trauma of what they witnessed.
I am physically in America, but my soul is still on those streets. I have still the nightmares that the Taliban are shooting me and my family and raping the girls in front of my eyes.
And admit they have survivor's guilt.
Somehow I feel guilty about myself that, so now I'm okay, but what about my family who are left in Afghanistan?
Their families are front of mind while they continue their education in Ithaca. This kind of winter is a first for them, but certainly nothing they can't handle after all they've been through.
Please not let our stories to be just a story and just not read it. Just do not turn your back to the girls of my age, and I have still the girls with the same ambitions, hopes, deprived of their very basic right, getting education, living isolated in their homes in Afghanistan.
In Ithaca,
Despite all the difficulties I've been through, I feel like a very bright future is waiting for me.